What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and Halo Infinite is officially just leaking onto the internet in the biggest way possible. We're talking full campaign spoilers, gigantic screenshots of unreleased maps, multiplayer gameplay, additional attachments, pretty much everything about this game somehow is just exploding onto the interwebs, and I've been pouring it into my eyeballs. I've actually looked at all the different leaks, and I need to talk about it. Now, this is going to be a completely spoiler-free discussion. I kind of just want to talk about some of the details that are getting out there because this game is honestly way bigger and way better than I ever could have imagined. I kind of just want to talk about some of this insanity because this may be a Game of the Year contender if it's as good as some of these leaks look. Now, please, if you haven't already, press the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 250 subscribers as fast as possible, and we're well along the way. Now, let's start things off by just looking at these screenshots right here. So first and foremost, this is the developer of Halo Infinite, one of the main guys here, Joseph Staten, basically acknowledging that these leaks are in fact real. He's confessing here that they accidentally included some campaign notes and stuff inside of the tech build they did a couple weeks ago. Back when there was that big beta, people just started rifling through it, and they discovered a bunch of leaks. So I'm not going to show you this, but if you click this see spoiler button, it is definitely an actual spoiler. In fact, I can't even show you this comment because it is just a huge chunk of the game itself. Now, this script is very out of order. It seems like Halo Infinite is going to be pretty open world. It's going to have some sort of maybe gigantic maps, and you're going to get a chance to drive to different missions, do them in different orders. So the script, because of that, is of course out of order itself. I mean, if you have things where there's optional objectives, it's a series of trigger points. But what we're seeing of the story itself seems pretty fantastic. I've always been a big believer that part of the reason that the Halo games initially kind of exploded was because they're just incredibly good shooters in general, and they had some fun multiplayer, but I do feel like the incredibly good story and the lore, the fact that there was a dedicated co-op based campaign, the fact that you could go along and shoot all sorts of crazy aliens with plasma rifles and needlers and stuff like that, it was a huge part of the appeal. From what I'm seeing about this story, it looks pretty great. There is one gigantic problem with it, which anybody who actually reads these leaks is going to know what it is, and it's kind of insane, but I'll just say a gigantic LOL. But it definitely seems like this is going to be basically like a soft reboot. It's going to be a chance to kind of restart the Halo series and make something that's accessible to new fans and people that are super old school like myself. I think that's the maps that were actually leaked. There was huge screenshots, which I can't show you because Microsoft will definitely take this video down, but if you go to this Twitter account, now I'm going to even have to crop this as carefully as possible, but this guy is actually just posting so much different content from throughout the single player and the multiplayer, and it actually looks great. He's claiming that he's going to block people for campaign stuff, but he's posting all sorts of screenshots from throughout the main campaign that look so good. But I do want to talk a bit about the multiplayer. So recently, just a couple weeks ago, we obviously had the multiplayer alpha beta tech test thing. It allowed us to actually go online and play on some different maps, do some multiplayer. Here's some multiplayer that I recorded throughout this video right here. The multiplayer is incredibly good. It feels like a good mix of it feels slightly faster and slightly slower than something like Halo 3. It's got that quick time to kill, that really quick motion, and a lot of power weapons just sprinkled just all across the maps. Well, one of the few complaints I had about that initial tech test was the fact that we were fighting against bots, obviously, but additionally, the maps felt very, very tiny. Now, I realized that wasn't going to be all the maps. I realized that, Halo has a huge amount of resources. They're going to make some big maps and some small maps. The stuff that got posted today, the stuff that's just actually pouring onto the internet as I record this video, is huge maps, including some classics. Some of the most fan favorite maps from the old school games are actually coming back and look so much better in this. I just want to say real quickly, the graphics of this are genuinely kind of blowing me away. Now, it's difficult to tell if this stuff is actually being leaked from a PC build or an Xbox Series X build or whatever like that, but it does seem like whatever this is running on, it looks fantastic. My initial criticism, when I was kind of bad-mouthing Halo Infinite in early 2020, one of my problems was just the fact that I thought that visually it looked like hot garbage. Like, just the brutes, freaking this guy, it looked so bad. Now, graphics isn't everything. Obviously, I've played a lot of good games. I'm playing a bunch of Hades right now, and Hades is just drawings on a piece of paper practically. But this new stuff, these new graphics we're getting a chance to see, these new visuals are freaking clean as hell. It looks absolutely insane. Like, I feel like it does that good mix where it's not going for photorealism, it's going for like almost that stylized aesthetic where they want things to be overly shiny and have crazy explosions and reflective particle effects. Each of the screenshots and some of the gameplay that's actually leaked out of the multiplayer stuff, it seems top freaking notch. But what is this? I guess one of the major questions I've seen people saying is, how is this even possible? How are we seeing so freaking much? Because some of the things that are coming out today are like unannounced attachments. Like, one of the things I enjoyed most in the multiplayer beta was the fact that there's just power weapons all over the place and grenades and crazy things you could do to grapple hook around and stuff like that. It was very, 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 very quick. And in this thing, it looks like there's going to be a ton of different attachments that let you jetpack around and do all sorts of stuff. And I think that these attachments look pretty fantastic. It looks like it's going to be a very fast and surprisingly a very vertical style of multiplayer. We're going to see how this balances out, but I think that this stuff is probably from a secret test going on. This stuff actually happens pretty commonly, which is that when you think about it, this game, if it is as big as some of these leaks are making it look, of course it's going to take months and months and months of testing to make sure your save files aren't corrupting, to make sure that all the AI works properly. You don't want to have a brute just punching a wall and stuff. That takes a lot of people playing through the game again and again and again to iron out all those final little problems. I think this is a QA build. I think what this is it's probably one of those like Xbox insider programs where they decided to contact somebody and say, hey, help us test the game out. And they decided to record all of it and post it onto some secret drive or something. Because this stuff, the weirdest part about it is that all the leaks are incredibly crisp. There are just so many different compiled Imgur albums just showing tons and tons of 4K screenshots of this, which makes me think this was not just a tiny accident, and I don't think this is a controlled leak. I personally do not believe at all that this is a controlled leak. Now, sometimes companies will actually do these like fake leaks where they get their best looking stuff and they go, oopsie doodle, and they post it onto the internet because sometimes secrets spread further. I think that this stuff is a legitimate leak because a lot of the stuff has these big gigantic banners on it that say not final. I think that this is probably tester documents, but even with this look at it, even with this next deep dive, I'm hoping this game is big. My last fear about it is that I'm kind of curious how the campaign is going to play out. They've been saying that Halo Infinite is going to be a long-term project. This is not quite games as a service. There is like a battle pass and stuff. The multiplayer is going to be like a free-to-play standalone thing. But my thought is that I hope that the story has an ending. Halo 5, that like cliffhanger ending we got in that was incredibly lame to me. Like, just personally, I want to see an ending. Not the ending of the entire series, but I feel like if you're going to tell a story, if you're giving us the next gigantic official chapter of Master Chief, I want to see some sort of conclusion. I want to see in this that's going to make me excited for what's coming next. If this just ends with a wet fart, if this just ends with him being like, alright guys, I'm going to go back to cryo sleep. I don't know why I'm doing that voice, but if he's just going to go straight back into cryo sleep and sleep to the next game or something like that, I want some sort of resolution because I am a lore nerd. I want to see what's happening with Master Chief. I want to see what's happening with Cortana. I want to see what's actually happening with all this new stuff that's going to be going down. But I am still just slightly nervous that because this is a games as a service project, in a way, I'm kind of nervous that we're only going to get the first half of the campaign or something like that. Because since we know that the game and all the DLC and stuff is going to be on Game Pass, I'm kind of just hoping that this is a total package, and then later on we get more single player and multiplayer just thrown up on the Game Pass as well. I want this to be one of those evolving great experiences. But now, I can honestly say that this is one of my most hyped games of the year. I know people like to say that I'm a Sony pony and that I hate Xbox. This is a quality Xbox game. I can completely say that. This looks like a quality Xbox game. If this ends up being bad after these amazing leaks, I will be genuinely shocked. Everything I've seen today is freaking 10 out of 10. But what did you think? Have you had a chance to look at these Halo leaks? Maybe this Twitter account and all this stuff is actually about to vanish, but I guess we're going to find out. Maybe the Microsoft ninjas are going to make him have a very bad night. But please tell me what you think of these Halo leaks down below. Please also be sure to subscribe and like this video, but do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. It is way too hot. I'm kind of sweating. If I look sweaty in this, it's because I'm yelling at the camera and it's hot as hell. It's hot as hell. But either way, love you guys. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.